assistance needed.
Hello, I'm Ongala Bongala and welcome to my channel. Today I have a build video for a status effect build, or CC build as it can be called as well. Unfortunately I lost my gameplay clips from Legendary, so I had to go get some new ones. I did a run of District Union Arena where I match made with random people, and that is where the initial clips are from. The build is currently and have been my favorite to play since I got the gear for it, which was a bit over a month ago. I've changed some pieces over time and now I'm only missing some guard rolls. Do note though that this is not a solo build, you will do very little amounts of damage. So, in my opinion, Survivalist is hands down the best specialization for this. You get the distributed repair armor kit, so instead of instantly it's heal over time, over 5 seconds, but it also applies to group members within 20 meters of you. And to go with this we have the Triage Specialist, which is 15% increased outgoing healing, so healing you do. And just to be a bit more like tanky, even though we're not tanky, we get the 10% increased protection from elites. We have the Survivalist Tactical Link, so group members get 10% bonus damage to targets with status effects. And to combine with this we have the Incendiary Grenade, which is, in my opinion, the best grenade in the game. It applies a burn, which is a status effect, and it kind of CCs them. They will run around like headless chickens and try to put the fire out. We have the crossbow, which after it detonates it applies a bleed, which is status effect. And our skills as well will apply status effects. So a lot of ways to increase our damage to the team. We have the Scraping By talent, which while in a cover to cover move we gain 5 ammo per second. And at the moment this also works when you have the ammo modifier on. And we have the Crunch Time passive. While in cover we gain an additional 10% skill haste. Most of the times you will most likely use Survivalist when you do a status effect or CC build. You could go with Gunner if you really want to use Banshee Pulse, for example, or the Riot Foam Grenade. But other than this it's kind of lackluster for this build. The 50% faster reload is alright, but we're not really dependent on reloading fast and doing a lot of damage, so we can kind of reload whenever we feel like it. And the Barrage, rate of fire by 5% on kill, and the Incessant, killing enemies grant 10% armor. So both of these proc when you kill something, and since we don't have a lot of weapon damage we won't be killing much. But whenever they proc they're nice. But yeah, that's about it. Guess the weapon handling, we will be kind of stationary, so this will be procced a lot of times. As for skills, we have two main skills. The first one is the jammer pulse. So the jammer pulses outwards, overloading and disabling hostile electronics. It applies disrupt status effects on all enemies it hits, even though it's not an electronic. The cooldown is 12.8 seconds for me, and the EMP effect duration 14.9 seconds. So if we EMP something, we will have it up just about when the effect wears off, because it's a little bit of like a delay before it goes on cooldown after you use it. And the radius is really big, 34 meters. The mods on it I have are 9.2% radius and 9.4% effect duration. So when I activate it, you can either just click it and it will be a small size of it, or you could hold it down and it will reach all the way, so almost to the 35 meter one, which is really big. We can make it go even further than this. The second of our skills, our main skills, is the blinder firefly. So it blinds enemies that it passes over, that you have marked, and it applies the blind status effect. The cooldown is 19.9 seconds. You can have a maximum of 10 targets, and the blinded duration is 24 seconds. So the thing is, the cooldown starts whenever your last enemy has been blinded. So it's not actually 19.9 seconds from when you press the button, but it's from when the blinder disappears. My mods are 7.4% skill haste, 7% blind effect duration, and +1 max target. So in the firing range it will look a bit weird, but since it marks the base of the targets, but when you're in combat it will mark the kind of the middle of the body. So you just move your camera around and it will target enemies, so the X is the target, and then you press it and it blinds in a small AoE as well. So now it went on cooldown. Something to watch out for is if you want to blind something and you have thrown a grenade there, sometimes your grenade will kill your blinder before it reaches its target. So if I throw my grenade here and then I throw my blinder, like that, it just died. So be careful of that. It can mean a wipe to your group or success. Other good options for this build is the shock trap. So you lay down a big field of traps that shocks enemies, which is also a status effect. The Banshee pulse, as I mentioned before, if you go with Gunner, and it works the same way as the jammer pulse. The only difference is instead of a circle around you, it's a cone in front of you. The Riot Foam chem launcher can be nice as well. You can just lock down enemies in one place kind of for how long as you have ammo. And if you don't need any CC or anything like this, you could go with the Reviver Hive, just as a safety option. And you can also resurrect a lot of allies with it, since you have 6 skill tiers. So for weapons, I am using the Everlasting Gaze. I got mine rolled with 15% rifle damage, 10% critical hit damage, which doesn't really matter since we don't have a lot of crit hit chance, and 6% damage to armor. And it has the talent Perfect Perpetuation. Headshots grants 50% status effect damage and duration to the next status effect you apply. The duration is what we want. The damage, we don't have much damage, but the jammer pulse does a little bit of damage to electronics. And it has a cooldown of 16 seconds instead of the regular one, which has 20 seconds. This is a police MK17, so if you want the same weapon but you don't have the Everlasting Gaze, it's a police MK17. You could also use the military MK17. It's the same. In our second slot I have the Sweet Dreams exotic shotgun. I got mine rolled with 12% shotgun damage, 12% damage to armor, and 10% damage to target out of cover. And it has the talent Sandman. Melee attacks instantly kill non-elite enemies, cooldown 15 seconds. This is really nice if you get rushed by like a purple or a red and you need to take it down as fast as possible. Depending on the mission, instead of Sweet Dreams, I sometimes use a classic M1A with Vindictive. So killing an enemy with a status effect applied grants you and all allies within 15 meters 15% critical hit chance and 15% critical hit damage for 20 seconds. This is quite a long buff. I feel like it doesn't proc that often since we don't do a lot of damage and need to get the killing blow for it, but whenever it procs it's nice to have. Kind of depending on which mission you play, I would recommend the Sweet Dreams for District Union Arena if you do it on Legendary, for example. I have had the most use of it in there. And the classic M1A I would recommend on Roosevelt Island. And for if you do Legendary Capital Building, whenever you're outside I would probably recommend the classic M1A with Vindictive, and whenever you're inside, the Sweet Dreams. It's kind of a mixed one in there. The mods I have on my Everlasting Gaze is the C79 scope, 5% critical hit chance, shark bait die, at plus 20 rounds, minus 10% reload speed, laser pointer with 5% critical hit chance, and the 5% critical hit chance muzzle. I don't feel like the stability is really needed, and not the accuracy as well, so just trying to get a little bit more damage wherever I can. The Sweet Dreams has the 15% accuracy, 25% optimal range, and 15% reload speed. And on my classic M1A, I am using 5% critical hit chance, plus 5 rounds, and plus 5% critical hit chance. And this is the manhunt die. For your sidearm, you could use whatever you feel like. I am personally using this M45A1 whenever I have sweet dreams. This way I can get vindictive, even though I don't have my M1A. This is the same gun as the Mozambique Special. I have mine with 15% pistol damage and 9% damage to target out of cover. And I have it modded with 5% crit chance, 10% crit chance, 10% accuracy, and 11 rounds with the topographic die. And if I have my classic M1A, I personally use the double barrel sawed-off. Minus 13% shotgun damage, 10% damage to armor, 9% damage to target out of cover, and preservation. So killing an enemy repairs 10% armor over 5 seconds. Headshot kills improve the repair by additional 10%, since we don't need vindictive here. You can just go with whatever you feel like. But I barely use my sidearm, so it's up to you what you want to use. And you can't mod this one. I only have the sidekick. So the armor I'm using is 1 piece golden gear, and the first piece bonus is 10% status effect. This always comes with a blue attribute, core attribute, so you would have to reroll this to a skill tier. And I have the 8.1% status effects and 9.7% skill haste attributes on this, and 11.5% skill haste mod on it. Secondly, I have the Acosta's Go Bag exotic backpack, which you can get from all faction crates in the world that you unlock with these keys. It always comes with 1 skill tier, and skill haste and skill damage. Mine has 12% skill haste and 8.9% skill damage with 11.7% skill haste mod. And it comes with the talents 1 in hand. Throwing a grenade refunds it and grants +1 skill tier for 15 seconds. Grants overcharge if already at skill tier 6, which we are. And this can happen every 60 seconds. So about every 60 seconds we can throw a grenade and get it refunded by just throwing it and getting overcharged, which increases the effectiveness of our skills. You also get the talent 2 in the bag, which lets you carry 1 more armor kit, 3 more grenades, and 25% more ammo. And you also get 10% repair skills and 10% status effects. Our chest is a piece of wyvernware. The first bonus is 10% skill damage and the second bonus is status effects. Mine has 1 skill tier, 9.1% status effects and 12% skill haste with an 11.6% skill haste mod. I have the talent Mad Bomber on mine, so grenade radius is increased by 50%. Grenades that kill an enemy are refunded. This can only happen once per grenade though, so even if it kills multiple enemies you will only get 1 back. Grenades can now be cooked by holding the fire button, making them explode earlier. Personally, I don't use this much, but it can be nice for certain situations. And you gain 15% bonus armor while aiming grenades, which is a nice bonus, since we focus a lot on throwing grenades. So the synergy between these ones are throwing grenades, getting overcharged, and getting our grenades back. And here's the second piece of Wyvern. It has skill tier, 10% status effects, and 12% skill haste. And here I have the improvised holster. This one you craft at the crafting station. It comes with random rolls here, so you would have to get a good one for you. I have a skill tier, 9.9% skill haste, 10% status effects, and this one comes with a yellow mod every time. So I have an 11.5% skill haste mod on this. So instead of having like a 10% skill haste bonus, like you can put on a 12% skill haste mod, so if you have everything maxed, you gain 2% skill haste. And lastly, I have a Hanayu knee pad, which gives 10% skill haste. And I have mine with 1% skill tier, 12% skill haste, and 9% status effects. Now, if you feel like your group would benefit more from something more directly defensive, instead of having it like this, you could put a Wyvern wear on your backpack and then use tardigrade on your chest. And tardigrade gives you gives everyone in your group an 80% of your shield for 10 seconds every 45 seconds, and then you can reset it by killing something with your specialization, which is a little bit harder than it might sound. But yeah, it's an option. If you don't want to use the Acosta's Go bag, you could swap it out for... You could swap Acosta and Wyvern out for China Light. So instead of the ability to get overcharged and the 2 in the bag passive, you get and the skill damage and status effect, you get plus 15% explosives damage, which nothing of our things do, 10% skill haste and 10% status effects, and you have the ability to roll a different talent here. Not on this specific piece, but this is just something I'm using to show. So you could go like this, for example. I don't have the correct pieces with the correct things on it, but yeah, so something like this. 3 China Light, 1 Golan, 1 improvised, and 1 Hanayu. In my opinion, this isn't as good, but it's still good. And you can also just swap out this for tardigrade if you want. Or use a Golan here instead, for example, if you rather want the status effects than the skill haste. So one thing that's important with this build is that you want to have a core attribute of skill tier on all your pieces, and the only attributes we care about is status effect and skill haste. The status effect increases the duration, and well, we don't have that many damage status effects, but like the bleed and burn, they increase the damage of those as well. And the skill haste gets us our cooldowns or our skills back faster. I've seen a lot of people like use the 1-piece Murakami and 2-piece Alps skill duration bonuses, but they don't actually do anything for the status effect duration. So if we would compare having this Murakami piece on, which gives 20% skill duration, and having this one off that gives 10% status effect, if we look at our blinder, which has a 24-second cooldown, or 24-second blind duration, and the EMP effect duration is 14.9, and then if we put the Murakami on, the blinder goes down from 24 to 22.6 blind duration, the EMP goes from 14.9 to 14.8. The improvised holster you need in the holster slot, obviously, since it's a crafted. You can only get it in this. The Hanayu you can have in knee or gloves. Hanayu always comes with a red mod slot, and since all we care about is skill haste and status effects, we don't want it in these three, because then we can't get skill haste there on our mod. You can re-roll the mod slot, but I think it's more difficult to find what you want if you have one more factor. The Wyvern Wear we can have in any of these 4 slots. It comes with a yellow mod, so it doesn't really matter. The Golan gear, preferably, I would say, we want in head, glove or knee, since it always comes with a blue core attribute. The RNG of trying to find it with 2 correct attributes and a correct talent would be more difficult than to find it in just with 2 correct attributes. If you don't want to use Mad Bomber on your body armor, some other good talents are Tag Team. The last enemy you have damaged with a skill is marked. Dealing weapon damage to that enemy consumes the mark to reduce active cooldowns by 6 seconds, and this has a cooldown of 4 seconds. And this works if you use your Yammer pulse on something electronic. Some other good options are Overwatch. So after you've been in cover for 10 seconds, you increases your group's total weapon and skill damage by 12%. This is really nice if you want more damage to the group. Unbreakable. So when you get to 0 armor, you get a boost of 95% of your armor directly. This can happen every 60 seconds. A good defensive option. And also efficient, which is there. So using an armor kit has 50% chance to not consume the armor kit. And specialization armor kit bonuses are increased by 100%. And some backpack talents are Creeping Death. So when you apply a status effect, it is also applied to all enemies within 8 meters of your target, cooldown 15 seconds. In my opinion, this isn't as good as having Acosta, since most of your skills have some sort of AoE on it. Like the Jammer has a really big range, and the Blinder not only blinds your target, but in a little radius around it as well. You could also use Energize. If you go with Efficient, for example, some sort of synergy, if you still want to be able to get overcharged. So using your armor kit grants 1 skill tier for 15 seconds. If already at skill tier 6, grants overcharge. Cooldown 60 seconds. So this is the same as the Acosta. 60-second cooldown, but instead of throwing a grenade, you get it by using an armor kit. And since Efficient has a chance to make your armor kit not use any, it synergizes quite well. So, firstly, if we compare the grenade size, it covers almost this entire room from side to side, and this is with Mad Bomber. And then we have this one. It covers just about half the room, and this is without Mad Bomber. And for our skills that we're using, firstly on the jammer pulse, when we are overcharged, instead of 60% radius and 60% effect duration, we get 150% radius, 100% effect duration, and 100% charge speed. And on our blinder, instead of 6 max targets and 210 speed and 120 blind effect duration, we get plus 10 max targets, plus 250 speed, and plus 200 blind effect duration. And now, if we compare the jammer pulse while overcharged, when it's not overcharged, it has a 34 meter radius for me, so almost touches this one. And now, if we overcharge ourselves, I have it set to 50 meters now. We throw a grenade, and you can see beneath my armor bar, you see it goes even beyond that one. So in a big room you can jam everything if you're overcharged. I am currently at level 900 in my Shade Watch, and I get 27,000 health. I have 50 points in critical hit damage, which give me 20%, 50 points in critical hit chance, which give me 10%, 50 points in weapon damage, which give me 10%, 30 points in headshot damage, which give me 12%, 50 points in explosive resistance, which give me 10%, 50 points in hazard protection, which give me 10%, 50 points in total armor, which give me 10%, and 30 points in total health, which give me 6%, 50 points in accuracy, which give me 10%, 50 points in stability, which give me 10%, 50 points in reload speed, which give me 10%, 30 points in ammo capacity, which give me 12%, 50 points in skill haste, which give me 10%, 50 points in skill duration, which give me 20%, and 50 points in skill damage, which give me 10%. This is not really needed though. It doesn't really do anything. It's only our jammer pulse that does a little bit of damage. And the skill repair, I have 30 points, which give me 6%. And yeah, we don't use any skills that repair, so we don't need this as well. So the stats of our gear. First we have the weapon talents. We have the perfect perpetuation, which increases our status effect duration by 50%. We can use this every 16 seconds. We have the Sandman to instantly kill a non-elite, or the M1A with Vindictive to increase the group damage. Our Everlasting Gaze has 184,000 weapon damage and 25% crit chance with 55% critical hit damage, 72% headshot damage and 6% damage to armor. I would rather have this damage to target out of cover on the weapon instead, but I can't reroll it. For our gear, we have the 1 in hand and 2 in the bag from Acosta, which allows us to get overcharged. And we have the Mad Bomber to synergize with it. 1-piece Golan, 1 Acosta, 2-piece Wyvern, the improvised holster, which is the same as 12% cooldown reduction bonus, and the Hanayu. We have 726,000 armor, 314,000 health, base health regen, 10% protection from elites from Survivalist, some resistances from the Watch, 133.9% skill haste on the Pulse, 12.8 second cooldown with a 14.9 EMP effect duration and 34 meter radius. And on our Firefly we have 133.9% skill haste with a 19.9 second cooldown and a 24 second blind duration. Feel free to subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed the video, or leave a dislike if you didn't. Also feel free to leave a comment if there is something I forgot or if there is something you would like to see on the channel. I will leave a link in the description, in the pinned comment, and there will be a little box on the top left corner you can click for some older gameplay. It's pre-nerfed DARPA from about a month ago. I might also upload something in the near future. Stay safe, wash your hands, and thanks for watching.